Welcome. We're going to have a conversation today with Guilford's first selectman, Joe Mazza. My name's Mary Beeman, and currently I'm serving on the Guilford High School Building Committee. And Joe and I have been friends for a long time. We go back to campaigning together in 2007. I remember spending a lot of time in the car, running from door to door. So I'm really happy to be here talking about what's new in Guilford and get a little perspective from our first selectman. So thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming up, Mary.
All right. Well, the first thing I want to talk about is how's the town doing financially?
We're doing very well. We just ended our fiscal year for 2015. June 30th, as you know, is the end of our fiscal year. Our finance director has reported to the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance last Monday that preliminary numbers are that we're looking at a $1.2 million surplus, unaudited right now, which is great news for us. This will be the sixth year in a row that we're winding up with a surplus. And it's always good news to have a surplus, but what's especially good this year is that it will add again to our undesignated fund balance. This is very good because we're going to market next week for another round of funding for our high school, which I know you're happy to hear, and to fund the new Guilford High School, which is coming out beautifully, you know. But the rating agencies like to see a healthy fund balance. And since 2009, we have grown the fund balance from 2.2 million to now we're looking at a fund balance of approximately 7 million. So that raises the fund balance to, in percentage-wise of revenue, from where we were to about 3%, which is under where the rating agencies would like to see us, to about 8%. So they would like to see towns between 5 and 10%. So we're right in the middle or a little bit above the middle. So we're hoping to...
How far do you think that's going to improve our rating?
We're hoping to get to that AAA. We're not there yet, but we're hoping. Now, getting a AAA means, of course, we would get a better credit rating. Of course, means that we're going to hopefully get a better interest rate. Better interest rate means a lower debt service. So.
And we've probably saved millions of dollars by doing this, right?
Yeah.
Saving the town a lot.
We would. I mean, it would mean lowering about 25 basis points over the course of our financing period of 20 years would mean probably about $1.6 million savings.
Terrific. Now, there's still another round of funding that will come down the road.
That's correct.
This is just up to about 2/3.
That's right. Last year was our first round of funding, which we put out $26 million of long-term financing or bonds. This year would be about $15 million, and we have two more rounds to go, which would be next year, 2016, and then the final round would be 2017.
Okay.
So we would be looking at a total of $66 million like we had proposed to the voters back in 2011, a long time ago.
It's a long time ago. I know on the building committee we just had our 4th anniversary on that committee, which was really exciting, and it is really a gratifying project to be working on.
It's a beautiful project. I believe that the students will be entering the building for classes on September 8th.
And I've been talking with Mr. Macenti, the principal, and they're having orientations for each class. Usually they just have freshman orientation in August, but this year, because it's a new building, he's holding an orientation for each of the 4 classes entering Guilford High School. And I have to tell you a little anecdote. Yesterday I was at the beach with a friend, and her daughter is going to be a freshman this year. And their family was deciding whether or not to go to Guilford High School or private school. And so we had a conversation last year about this time, about whether or not to come to the high school. And they've decided to come to Guilford High School. And she's a very talented performing artist.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So it'll be great to add her to the mix. So.
Well, you people have done a fantastic job with that project. I know it's been a very long hours, a lot of hard work, but it shows. And
it's the best committee I've ever been on, I got to tell you.
well, that's good.
It's fantastic. Everybody does their homework, we all get along, and we get a lot done. So.
I know all the hard work you put into it, because I meet with Barbara Casey, Vice Chairman, on a regular basis, and of course I see all the back and forth through the emails and stuff.
Sure.
But when I go through the building periodically during the construction phase, it's amazing to see that this building is in Guilford.
Yeah.
And I think when the citizens have a chance, and when they do have a chance, please go through the building and take the tours. You'll be very, very satisfied and amazed, and to see that this building has finally come to fruition.
One thing that I think people will like to hear is there will be a public ribbon cutting ceremony and open house on Saturday, September 26th at 2:00, and everybody's welcome to come.
That's correct.
But if you want to tour in the meantime, people can contact Mr. Macenti. So.
And there's still construction going on.
Right. So it is a construction site.
Right.
But school will happen.
That's right.
Yes.
However, our building department has issued a final CO for the administrative wing of that building, I think about 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
So
they're operating out of that office now.
Rick couldn't wait to get his desk in there.
And he's got a prime location. He's right on the front entrance of the building. He'll be able to see people coming and going, and it's a great spot.
Now, what remains besides finishing up the new building
We have to
is
tear down the old one.
the demolition of the old building. And that's going to take a couple of months
Yeah.
once the new building is fully occupied. So,
And that'll be ongoing for roughly the next 10 months. Demolition and then site work, putting in the parking lots and ball fields that will be up on the New England roadside. So the construction site will look very different over the next few months, but it's a phased project. There are plans in place for car traffic, people moving, and the old high school will be fenced off pretty securely to keep people from entering that area.
and there's a couple of important points about that building I think we should mention. First of all, obviously it's on time.
Right.
And important, it's within budget. And like we promised the citizens of this town that we would not be going back for any more money.
No.
We don't have to, okay? And also we did preserve the science wing for another use, which is going to be a public fitness center. So that's all good news.
It's all great.
Right.
It's all great. Let's move on a little bit.
Sure.
How about economic development in town? There's lots going on.
Yeah, there's a lot. We're very busy.
Yeah.
We're very busy in town. I took a tour of the, I'm not going to call it the rock pile anymore, Guilford Commons.
Guilford Commons.
Guilford Commons, okay. I took a tour today's Friday, I guess it was Wednesday, with the construction company for DDR. 2 of the 3 buildings are up. You can't see much from US 1.
Yeah.
In a way, that's what we wanted when they put that
You can see a little more
project
from the highway.
Correct. 2 of the 3 buildings are up. The interior spaces of those 2 buildings are pretty much complete as far as the flooring goes, lighting fixtures. They're moving along pretty well. The anticipated, or the target date, I should say, for the soft opening of the stores that have been mentioned, which is Fresh Market, Bed Bath & Beyond, let's see,
The shoe store?
the DWS,
DSW.
DSW, excuse me. There's also Michael's and Ultra, I think is another one.
Okay.
It seems like there's all these women. Give the women. That's us guys who kind of like feel left out here. All of those stores will be ready for a soft opening by the 3rd week of October, they tell me. And then they're going to have an official grand opening either by the end of October or at least the first week of November.
Great.
So
That's
Christmas
exciting.
shopping will happen.
I was just driving by, I think it was just yesterday or the day before, and Route 1 is pretty well finished
It's done.
along that space,
It's done.
right? And you said that they're testing the traffic lights?
Traffic lights.
There's a new light at that entrance.
That's correct. Well, that was one of the requirements or conditions, because you're definitely going to need it. Right?
And there was a widening there to
That's
create
correct.
some turning lanes,
That's correct. That was all of the conditions for from DOT and our planning and zoning. So that's moving along well. Besides having more shops for our people to shop at, it's going to add to our tax rolls, and I'm confident that'll be on our October 1st grand list, which
That's
is
great.
good. That's all good news.
That's great. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah,
besides
I also took a tour
comments?
of 66 High Street about a week ago. That's really going to be a fantastic project. I took a tour, obviously with the developers of 66 High Street, but also they've invited some other developers who own property in town close to 66 High Street, who were amazed at what they've accomplished down there. They've cleaned up the site, knocked down some of the outbuildings there, some of the old warehouse buildings.
It's
Gutted the
some
interior.
beautiful architecture.
Oh yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
the encouraging part is that they've stopped selling, and they have sold
Wow.
10 units in there, and
That's
nothing.
remarkable.
That's right. But, and the prices they're getting are unbelievable.
That
Way-
helps all of us.
Yeah, way beyond where they thought they were going to be. So
Uh-huh.
much so that I think they've kind of stopped because their price points are higher than they thought they were going to be.
Wow.
And again, this is going to help our tax base.
And there's some beautiful marsh views over there too that
That's
people
right.
I don't think realize
That's
back
right.
there. Yeah, yeah.
And how they sold at least one of the, or two of the penthouses, but this is really unique, is they put a camera on a drone,
Uh-huh.
and that's how they showed the views.
Oh, that's
They
great.
Sold like that.
Fantastic.
So that's good. Tractor Supply on the west side of town.
That's made big progress.
Yep, big progress. It's all enclosed,
Mm-hmm.
and that should be opening within a couple of months. So
Terrific.
that's the big projects. Plus,
Yeah.
we got little projects going on. As you know, the marketplace across the green here
Right.
is, if I understand,
It's
doing
hopping.
very well.
Yeah.
It's walkable distance from where you
Sure,
live.
sure. I go there all the time. It's fantastic.
Walkable distance for lunch from where I am here.
Yeah.
But people are very happy with what's
The
going on.
food's great and the service is wonderful. Yeah.
So we're doing good
It's
there.
doing very well.
So
Now there's some other planning going into different kind of housing.
yeah, that's
not
correct.
not such high end that you're talking over at 66 High Street, but some housing for other folks as well.
Yeah, that's some people would call it affordable housing, but we call it housing for economic growth. As you know, the town received a $20,000 grant to do a study for what we call housing for economic growth, and it's some people call affordable housing, but affordable housing has different terms to it.
These are really single dwellings
Yeah, it's
to be
called
purchased.
it's cluster housing.
It's
right?
cluster housing. So single dwellings that are kind of close to one another,
Right.
but are affordable for a family maybe just starting out.
That's correct. And what it is, basically, the grant was from the state, was for site location. Now, and nothing more than that, okay?
Right.
The study has just been concluded. I haven't received a report yet. I'm going to meet with members of the committee next week. They will be presenting the report to the Board of Selectmen to decide if we go to the next phase. But the study was to find possible site locations. Now, site locations have to be within public transportation, within proper septic systems. So it's not going to be in an isolated area someplace. It has to be where people can walk. Now, what are these houses? What's the group that they're targeting? Group that they're targeting are, for instance, people who would have entry-level jobs. For instance, our firemen, our entry-level policemen, or entry-level town hall personnel. At their salary level, let's be honest with you, they most likely cannot afford to live in town.
But you want them to live in
We
town
want them
because
to
they're
live in
town
town.
employees. You want them to be part of the community.
Right, right. It's not that we're we were looked to be attracting people from other towns. It's
Mm-hmm.
our own people here who
Right,
work in
right.
town. That's what we mean by housing for economic growth. Okay, so when you say affordable housing, yeah, right away red flags go up, and we're thinking all sorts of things that
Yeah. Yeah.
that get people worried.
You want people to have their own economic growth.
That's right.
And when they can get in on the ground floor of purchasing maybe their first home, that's going to help them grow as
That's right.
an individual family as well.
Exactly. So, matter of fact, we do have some housing in town already. Apple Tree Lane off Long Hill Road is an example. It's small homes, cluster housing. I think it's about 9 homes up there. Very tastefully done.
There's a little cul-de-sac up there,
Right.
basketball hoop in the center.
And
yeah.
for instance, our own housing authority is also considered
Okay.
affordable housing. You've
On
got
Boston Terrace.
Boston Terrace, where we have most of our seniors who are on fixed incomes. You have the Guilford Court, which is behind the Adams, across street from the Adams School.
Right,
Okay, and then you have Satcham's Hollow.
right,
Okay, now those are rentals. That's the only difference.
right.
So that's the other project that
Terrific.
the town is working on.
Now, you've got a lot of roads to fix this summer.
So we have to. Yeah.
This was a tough winter, and I can't even imagine that you'll get them all done this summer. But you're making some good progress.
We're making a lot of progress. Our routine road projects are chip sealing. Okay? And we have.
And that's the most economic way to fix
It
the roads
is,
at this
but
point, correct?
we've changed our method of chip sealing, and we've changed the contractor that we've used a couple of years ago, not
Okay.
several years ago. It's a much better process we used. We've gotten a better contractor than we used in the past. So we're going to be doing 9 miles of chip sealing this year. And that's mostly in the North Guilford area
Okay.
this time. Okay, so, but what we do now to make a better road is the roads that we chip seal that need more attention is we have a process that's called shim and level, which is more of a road repair
Okay.
before we put the layer of chip sealing down. What that does is, first of all, it gives us a better surface to lay the chip sealing down.
Better foundation.
Yeah, right. And it also corrects any problems with the roads. If we were just to chip seal over the roads, it would be like putting not even a Band-Aid, just a covering over it. And in less than 5 years, we'd have to redo that road.
Right, right.
This is a longer lasting process. Now, for the first week, people are going to
Yeah.
complain.
Yeah.
The road is going to have a lot of chips on it. But if they drive on the road
At the
right
speed
after-
limit.
at the posted speed limit of 15 miles an hour, it's a temporary speed limit,
Right, right.
you'll be okay. You're going to have to put up with it for about a week. You know, there's no way of getting around it.
It's a small price to pay for getting your road fixed.
But within a week, we come back with the sweepers and take up all the loose
All
stone
the
that
excess.
did not adhere to the emulsion,
Uh-huh.
which is like an oil-based emulsion. The road is fine, and it lasts for a longer time than it used to last, okay?
Does it hold up better to plowing, for example?
Much better. I mean, I'm glad you asked that question. If you want to see what some of our successes are lately, drive on Little Meadow Road.
Okay.
It's a good example. It's a heavily traveled road.
Sure.
Okay. That road was done a couple of years ago. Okay. That road is amazing. It's gone through a lot of plowing, a lot of thawing, a lot of freezing. It's in great shape.
Fantastic.
Very, very little potholes, I think hardly any at this point. But that's because of the new process we use. We have a new vendor, a new contractor. Like I said, for about a week you're gonna have to put up with it, but it's worth putting up with
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So we're gonna do 9 miles of that.
Okay, great.
Then there are some roads which we definitely have to rip up completely and repave. And that's going to be up, I think Pondview Circle is one, Flat Meadow Road is another one. But there's a list of roads that we're going to have to redo completely.
Mm-hmm.
There are
And
roads
what-
that we're going to have to raise, that we said, is Chatfish Island
Chatfish
Road.
Island, yeah.
Okay, which we got a grant for,
Mhm.
and Tuttle's Point.
Mhm.
These are going to be done later in the summer, probably in the fall.
I've driven through a few inches of road on Chatfish Island
Yeah,
Road at high
right.
tide, yeah.
Now, we did, last summer, we did Old Quarry Road, which was a pretty big job.
Okay,
And the people are very, very satisfied with that
Great.
job. Most of these jobs are done with our public
Public Works.
people.
Mhm. They're essentially done in-house.
They're in-house,
Mhm,
which is less expensive.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're done extremely well.
If someone has an issue with a road in their neighborhood,
Mhm.
what's the best thing to do?
Call Public Works.
Okay,
They'll get out there.
great.
Okay, they might not get out there immediately.
Sure, but you can get on
They-
the list.
They get out there.
Okay, great.
So we're doing a lot of road work,
Mhm.
okay? We just finished Westlake Avenue. We've got a lot of nice compliments about that.
Fantastic.
So, and next year we'll do Long Hill Road, which is 80% federally funded.
Okay,
We did some preliminary work this year.
there was a lot, right down near Route 1, there was some work done.
Yeah, that was the gas
summer.
company, utility
Okay,
company, so we're
okay.
ripping it up.
Yeah, yeah.
So we had to have them finish it.
Do that first.
So there's a lot of work
Now,
going
there's
on.
a couple little hot button issues I want to touch on. That
Okay.
I'm on Facebook, and there's a lot of chatter about two things.
Yeah,
The food truck
yeah,
and the stone house.
Okay.
I want your take on those two topics real
Okay.
quick before we end up today.
okay. Let's take the food truck first.
Okay.
We have had some questions about the food truck. The food truck, we have 5 food trucks in town that are licensed. Okay, and so in order to be licensed in
What's that
ta-
process?
You have to have a license from the police department,
Mhm.
and you have to have a license from the health department in order to operate a food truck in Guilford.
Mhm.
And I'm told that there are 5 that have these licenses.
Okay.
I know there's been some angst about the food truck, current one that's hanging around the green there.
There's also been a lot of positive reviews.
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
true. That's true. I mean, if people weren't frequenting that food truck, you wouldn't come
You
back.
wouldn't be there,
Number
yeah,
one. But there are some issues which we are looking into.
Mhm.
There is an ordinance that covers the operations
Mhm.
of peddlers, and which the food trucks fall under. Staff, which includes myself, are looking into the regulations under those ordinances.
Okay.
And we're rewriting the regulations. Now, we have to be careful,
Mhm.
because we have to adhere to the state
The
statute.
statutes.
We can't be so restrictive as to violate state statute.
Sure, sure.
Number one, or to violate restraint of trade.
Mhm, mhm.
Now, I am sensitive to our brick and mortar restaurant businesses,
mhm.
and I want to be very fair to them, and they know that. I've
Mhm,
had
mhm.
conversations with them. So,
Do you feel like, have they been adversely affected?
no, and I've asked the question.
Great, great.
The ones I've spoken to, or they've called me,
Mhm.
have said it hasn't hurt their business.
Great. So
Okay.
it feels like there's room for everybody at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah, I mean, no, maybe this is a summer fad, I don't know.
Mhm, mhm.
So what we're doing is we're taking a look at these regulations, we're rewriting them, tweaking them as we feel they need to be rewritten. We're looking at other towns' regulations and to
Mhm.
see how they have dealt with them. We're looking at state statute to
Okay.
make sure we don't violate them. And we're also making sure that we don't violate anybody's restraint of trade
Right.
or civil rights on them.
Right.
When this committee, which is made up of myself, the police chief, the health director, the zoning officer, and our economic development coordinator,
Mhm, mhm.
have a draft that we're comfortable with, we will send it to the Board of Selectmen for their review and action.
And that'll be a couple months off, probably.
It may be sooner,
Maybe sooner, okay.
okay?
Okay.
With vacations and everything,
Sure.
we've been a little bit held back.
Sure.
So that's where we are
Okay.
with the food trucks.
And then the stone house.
Stonehouse, I met with the operations manager of the Rothberg organization. We had a very nice meeting. There's not too much I can say about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, because it was a confidential meeting. All I can tell you is that, let me lay some fears to rest. It's not going to be knocked down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's good. It's a
They've
beautiful
been-
building.
Yeah, okay. They're willing to work with the town. But it's not gonna be knocked down. They're not gonna close off access to the waterfront, so to speak. First of all, they can't. It's the town's.
Right,
They
right.
don't own the road.
Right.
They don't own the marina. They don't own the beach. And if we were to sell any of that, the town would have to vote on it because
They have
it's
to go to referendum.
referendum and property. So I would like everybody just to,
Yeah.
be a little bit at ease. We have put the gentleman I spoke to in touch with our economic development coordinator and saying, look, if you need space for what you want to do, we'd like to help you. We would like you to have your operation fit in with our town center south plan. And I think he was receptive to that.
Great, great.
That's where we're at the moment. That's
Okay.
about all I can say
Great.
about that.
Well, the Stone House is open through the 31st,
Yeah.
and we wish them luck in their
Look.
last couple of weeks. And
Look,
That's great.
for the operators of the Stone House and the owners of the building, it's a great deal for them. They're happy with it. Financially, they want the deal, and it's not for us to get in their way. That's all I can say.
well, I really appreciate the opportunity to sit here and talk with you this morning, and I hope people have learned a few things. I know I have, and hope to see you again soon.
Well, thank you. Thanks for coming up, and it was
Okay.
very nice talking to you.
Great.
Take
Thanks,
care.
everyone.
Bye.